It's 10 trivia questions on the number 8 for the 8th anniversary of the Trivia with Buds podcast. This is Trivia with Buds. What it be, and welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Buds. Thanks for checking out the show for 8 years. Today is the 8th anniversary of doing this little show. We started in July 2016, and the show used to be very, very different. We used to have guests on, and I'd have them battle in topics that they were into, and it was about 90 minutes an episode, sometimes 60 minutes, sometimes 90, sometimes 2 hours. It was very different, very long, and I listened to the reviews early on, and a lot of reviews were like, man, I like this show, but I wish he would just get to the trivia. So we switched up the format maybe 2 years in, and I started doing it more often and shorter episodes, and we used to do it every day at one point. Now we do it Monday through Friday, and we've hit 1,800 episodes this last month. So thank you so much for subscribing to the show and listening for all these years. 8 years is a long time. That's probably one of the longest times I've done any specific project. So I'm glad that there are listeners to keep it going. And I'm so grateful for you all, especially everybody on Patreon. Patreon.com/trivia with buds is the community for this show if you want to support it. And the trivia is going to start a little bit later than usual today because I'm going to ramble on about 8 things that have happened to me in really cool ways from the 8 years of this podcast. So I'll start with number 1, dozens of corporate shows, house parties, virtual events, and more. What I mean by that is people that listen to the podcast will reach out to me and go, hey, can you do my wife's 50th birthday party virtually on Zoom? Or, hey, can you supply me with questions so I can host my own event? Or, hey, my company's doing this luncheon and we need somebody for entertainment. Do you do that? And all of that comes from my website, comes from word of mouth, comes from my corporate agent, but a lot of it comes from the podcast. People just listening and going, oh, this seems like a guy who does those things. So that is one of the 8 amazing things that's happened to me from 8 years of the podcast. Lots and lots and lots of shows. Thank you for always thinking of me as your go-to trivia guy. Another thing is a wedding, and I've officiated 14 weddings. No, 13 weddings over the last 15 years or so. And my good friends Bonnie and Taylor asked me to officiate their wedding in Nashville just last month. And it went really, really well. And they found me because they would listen to my podcast and drive back and forth from Knoxville, Tennessee? No, from Kingsport, Tennessee to Nashville, Tennessee, when they first started dating. They'd listened to the podcast, and then they realized I lived in Johnson City next to Kingsport. And then they started coming to my live events, and they're like, this is the guy from the podcast. So we all became good friends. I officiated their wedding, and that's always pretty cool. But that all kind of stemmed from the idea of having this podcast. So congratulations to Bonnie and Taylor. Number 3, fun artwork with Brian Ward, making me into different characters every year or so. Right now, you could see me as Deadpool, of course, with a new movie out, Deadpool and Wolverine, which I saw and was fantastic. 5 stars. Go see it. So great. Can't wait to see it again. So that's the logo right now. But over the last 8 years, about once a year or so, or sometimes more than that, he's made me into Willy Wonka and Bob Ross and Elvira, which is somewhat of a disturbing one. So lots of fun characters over the years. I'm very close to having 12, and then I can do my calendar, which is what I've always thought would be cool to do, a big trivia calendar with me as a different character every month. So that will be coming, I don't know, sometime in the next couple of years. Thanks to Brian Ward for always coming up with exactly the idea I have in my head without telling him much. I'm like, hey, how about me as Deadpool, and then he kills it. So thank you, Brian Ward. Number 4, Patreon community and ad income. We're able to start making money on this podcast with ads, which I know nobody really likes. Just in general, nobody likes ads. I don't have anything with ads, with television and all that kind of stuff myself. I'll pay whatever that premium is because I hate them. But they are a big part of having this show grow and having us get some money from the ad revenue. So thank you so much for listening to the show and subscribing to it and telling friends about it to help those numbers grow enough to even add ads, because you can't just add ads to any podcast. You have to have a certain number of listeners and followers and things like that. So the Patreon community is another huge part of that. In terms of income, we usually try and do something charitable with the Patreon money. At the end of the year, we bought a book vending machine for my kids' school, which was very, very cool. And everybody always talks about that as a cool addition to the school right when you walk in. And it's a really nice school. It's a really nice vending machine. And that was all from Patreon money 2 years ago. So Patreon and ad income, that's number 4. Huge parts of, why you do all this stuff, and it grows into something. We basically made no money on the show for the first, I would say, 6 years. And then the Patreon and ad income really started to pick up in the last couple of years. So thank you guys for that. Number 5, roughly 100 custom episodes for birthdays. We had a pocket last year where I was doing, like every other day, someone was messaging me for custom episodes for their loved ones, which is cool. And so you would send me topics, and then I would create a little birthday shout out and honor that person, or anniversary or retirement or whatever the occasion was. But we've done at least pretty close to 100 of those over the last couple of years. And if you ever want to do one, email ryanbuds@gmail.com. I'll give you all the details on custom episodes of this show for your loved ones. Number 6, I was subject of a podcast research. I don't know if I talked about this, but a year or two ago, a guy reached out and said he was doing a thesis or something on how podcasts sustain and how they get more listeners and how they kind of get out into the universe and don't disappear. And he wanted me to be sort of a subject of it. And we had a couple of long talks about all the ways that I keep the show going, and it was very fun. And I've never been the subject of any kind of anything. So that was very cool. And I should probably follow up and see whatever happened with all that. But it was very cool. And number 7, friendships with shows like Pod Quiz, Quiz Quiz Bang Bang, Trivial Warfare, Fully Posable. These are all podcasts that I love. Some of them are about trivia, and you should check them all out, like Pod Quiz, Quiz Quiz, Bang Bang, and Trivial Warfare. And then some are about things that I love, like wrestling action figures. I always talk about Fully Posable. Jeff and Scott Toon, they started their podcast, I think, the same year, 2016. So we've all become really good friends. And the friendships with other shows is a great motivator of doing this show in general. And the last thing, number 8, my next thing, which is going to be a 12-part interview video series with other trivia hosts on Zoom. So I'm going to record with a different friend of mine who does pretty much what I do, runs a trivia company or a game show or a bingo company in some way. And we'll just shoot the breeze and talk for about an hour about all the best practices, craziest stories, things like that. It won't be like an ongoing thing. It'll be something where I record maybe 12 of them and then put it out once a month over a year, or once a week over 12 weeks or something like that. So still trying to figure all that out. But that's the big number 8, this podcast leading to an evolution of another thing there. So that's a lot of rambling, but I figured, hey, 8 years in, let's talk for 8 minutes at the top. And we just hit 8 minutes on the clock. So we're all warmed up and ready to go. Right after this, of course, categories. And today, because it's the 8th anniversary, let's do 8 things, okay? So here's your 8 categories for the letter M, as in mom. We have games, things at a carnival, vehicles, fish, birds, vegetables, foreign words used in English, and software. Here they are again. Games, things at a carnival, vehicles, fish, birds, vegetables, foreign words used in English, and software, all starting with the letter M. Listen for my 8 M answers at the end of the episode, along with a fun fact of the day about Jaws 3. Oh, I can't wait. We're all warmed up now. We're ready to go, and we're jumping into trivia on the number 8 for the 8th anniversary of the Trivia with Buds podcast. Here we go. It's the number 8 question. Number 1. Who plays mobster Tommy Spinelli in the 90s film 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag? Number 1. Who plays mobster Tommy Spinelli in the 90s film 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag? Question number 2, what was the first thing mentioned in the 8th Amendment? What is the first item mentioned in the 8th Amendment? Number 3, what was the 8th state in the United States? What was the 8th United State? Number 4, Piece of 8 was a 1978 song by what 4-letter band? Number 4, Piece of 8 was a 1978 song by what 4-letter band? Number 5, in what decade did Ford start including 8-track players in all its car models? In what decade did Ford start including 8-track players in all its car models? Number 6, Pig and Spoons are similar card games to what shedding type game? Pig and Spoons are similar card games to what shedding type game? Number 7, 8 Men Out is a movie about what sport? 8 Men Out is a movie about what sport? Number 8, what toy company currently makes the Magic 8 Ball? What toy company currently makes the Magic 8 Ball? Number 9, what sitcom about a bus driver and his wife and their neighbors made Rolling Stone's top 100 sitcoms of all time list at the number 8 spot? What sitcom about a bus driver and his wife and their neighbors made Rolling Stone's top 100 sitcoms of all time at the number 8 spot? Number 10, what song starts with, "Ooh, I need your love, babe, guess you know it's true"? What song starts with, "Ooh, I need your love, babe, guess you know it's true"? And number 11, to close it out, what Marvel Cinematic Universe star plays rap battler Papa Doc in the movie 8 Mile? Number 11, what MCU star plays rap battler Papa Doc in 8 Mile? Those are all your questions on the number 8. We'll be right back with the answers after this. We are back with the answers to the number 8. Let's see how you did for the 8th anniversary of the Trivia with Buds podcast. Number 1, who plays mobster Tommy Spinelli in the 90s film 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag? That's Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci. Never saw the movie, but I can picture the VHS box in my head. Number 2, what's the first thing mentioned in the 8th Amendment? Excessive bail. Excessive bail. Number 3, the 8th state in the U.S. was South Carolina. South Carolina. Number 4, Piece of 8 was a 1978 song by the 4-letter band Styx, S-T-Y-X. Number 5, in what decade did Ford start putting 8-track players in its car models? The 1960s. 1960s. Number 6, Pig and Spoons are similar card games to what shedding type game? That's Crazy Eights. Crazy Eights. Number 7, 8 Men Out is a movie about what sport? Baseball. Number 8, what toy company currently makes the Magic 8 Ball? That's Mattel. My daughter picked that out at the store a couple weeks ago. She said, Dad, can I please get this Magic 8 Ball? And I was like, I've never had one. None of my friends had one growing up. Yes, you can get that. Number 9, what sitcom about a bus driver and his wife and their neighbors was number 8 on Rolling Stone's Top 100 Sitcoms? The Honeymooners. Honeymooners. Number 10, what song starts with, "Ooh, I need your love, babe, guess you know it's true"? 8 Days a Week, The Beatles. And number 11, what MCU star plays rap battler Papa Doc in 8 Mile? That was Anthony Mackie. Did not know that was him. I remember the character. That's the one that Rabbit goes up against at the end of the movie in an epic battle and wins. And Papa Doc, Anthony Mackie, Falcon himself, who's in the new Captain America with Harrison Ford. I saw the trailer for it when I saw Deadpool and Wolverine just the other day. And there you have it. Trivia on the number 8. Hope you had a good time playing along today. Your fact of the day is Jaws 3 was planned as a spoof about a studio trying to make a Jaws sequel titled Jaws 3 People Zero. It was canceled when Spielberg objected that idea. And your letter was M. We're going to do 8 of them. Games, I'm going to say Monopoly. Things at a carnival, mirrors, like if there's a house of mirrors. Vehicles, Mazda, Miata. Fish, mahi-mahi. Birds, magpie. Vegetables, mung bean. Is that a thing? A mung bean? I don't even know if that's a thing. I might have just combined 2 things in my head. And foreign words used in English, menage a trois. How about that? In software, I'm going to say Magic Eraser, which is like built into Canva to erase the backgrounds or replace something in your hand with something else with their new AI tools. So there you go. That has been our 8th anniversary spectacular. Thank you so much for listening all these years. Hit subscribe so you never miss a new episode. Hit the Patreon if you want to support the show monetarily. $1 a month gets you completely ad-free. Patreon.com/trivia with buds. And we'll see you next time for more trivia with me. Cheers.